So this is another closer view of the Inner Harbor. You can see how it's really a great place to be, sort of like one of the tourist attractions, an outside mall. You know, so a lot of people really enjoy it on this beautiful summer day. It's July 31st. So a lot of people are really just enjoying just being outside on the promenade. So we'll take like a quick walk around here just so that we can just see a little bit more about what's going on. You can see the old ship. They also have a submarine around here too, just for people to go into. And we're taking one walk down here just to take a look at the old ship on the north side of the Inner Harbor. And again, this Inner Harbor changed completely over the last 30 years. So at first, it was not a good area, but about 40 years ago, 30 years ago, the Rouse Company decided to change everything and invest in the area and develop some shopping malls here. So as a result, it became very, very popular as a tourist attraction. And this is what one of the areas that Baltimore really prides itself on, in being an area that attracts a lot of families. And that's the big thing. So people come from all over just to visit here, just to see what the Inner Harbor is like, and just to take a very nice time here. And so you can see how it's really great just being in this whole area. And again, this is the USS Constellation. You can see that there. And people can go on a tour of the USS Constellation. You can see how wonderful that looks. And all aboard the USS Constellation. You can see how it would be very enjoyable for people to come here, rent a boat, see what that's like. You can see in the distance the submarine too. And that's a World War II submarine. And just imagine people on that submarine in World War II, how cramped it must have been. So we'll just take a walk around just to see what this is like. Get a little closer view of the submarine, closer view of everything around here. See how nice it could be just to be in this whole area. And I don't know if they're still giving tours of the submarine, but it would be nice to see something like that. And you can see all the boats in the distance too. Nice boats. People making themselves at home. And again, that's the building that Michael Phelps bought his apartment in, because he's originally from Baltimore. You can see here all the other buildings around here. See how this is part of the shopping center, you know, for everything that's here at the Inner Harbor. And we're just taking another little look around just to see what that's like. So we'll take another closer view of this submarine, World War II submarine. And then we'll make a trip back just to see the other side of the Inner Harbor, just so people get a good idea of what the Inner Harbor is like. So if anyone from elsewhere in the country or elsewhere in the world decides to visit Baltimore, they have a good idea of what to expect from different parts of Baltimore. There we'll just get a closer view of the submarine. You can see it's just beautiful seeing that, how it looks. People walking on board the submarine for the tour. And I think that could be a very nice thing. Take another look at the boats there in the distance and see how everything is. And there, now we're looking across the Inner Harbor at an area called Federal Hill. That's a very popular area, and a lot of prominent people from Baltimore like to live there too. That has really developed. It has a lot of architecture from about 100 to 150 years ago. Old brick buildings, but it's a very popular place for people to live. Also, the area just north of this Inner Harbor area is called Mount Vernon. That is also very popular with people, and a lot of people have lived there. And as I said, these areas have become developed more recently in the last 40 to 50 years because there was a lot of people who left the big cities because they decided the big cities weren't for them. So they ended up moving to the suburbs. Then when urban pioneers moved back into the city, they realized that it was a good place to live again. And that's when they came back. And so we ended up having a lot of people coming back, and the buildings ended up becoming worthwhile again, becoming redeveloped. So it was very popular for people to move back into the city. And it's really helpful too, because you see a rejuvenation of a lot of the urban environment. And it's not just Baltimore, it's Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and New York, Boston. So I think what's happening too is there's a trend where people realize that it's much more economical to be in the inner city again. And before, energy costs were very cheap, transportation was easy, housing was cheap to build. But now what you're seeing is like a lot of infrastructure is not being built in the suburbs anymore, and it's not even being built in the city. However, the city infrastructure is already there. So that allows for things to not be so expensive. And so a lot of the generation after World War II and 2 generations after World War II is making a conscious determination to move back to the city. So I think what you're seeing here, and this is an example of it with this inner city shopping mall on the Inner Harbor, is an example of how people have realized that it's much better to live in the city and to see what it's like in the city, and to just easily go from their home to a shopping mall like this, then to their home again or to their office. And you can see on a beautiful day like this. But also what's important to realize that it's not just the people in the city of Baltimore that are here. A lot of the big cities have realized that it's very important to create a magnet. And this Inner Harbor really was created with the intention of it being a magnet. And you can see the different stores that are here. H&M, that's one of those flagship stores in any big city development, whether it's New York, whether it's Los Angeles, and believe it or not, Ripley's Believe It or Not, that for example is right in Times Square in New York. So that's a good indication of what they were trying to do by having a store like that here. You know, because that's a very big store, big draw for a lot of people. And you can see here, Ripley's Believe It or Not. And so it's a very nice situation to have that. You can see here how, here's another view, how you have this, and you can see all the other, you can see in the distance, the harbor of Baltimore. How there's a reason for having this harbor of Baltimore. There's a reason why Baltimore became so important, because it's one of those ideal harbors. And you can see from the distance how nice it is, you know, just to see. And there is the submarine that we had just seen in the distance also. And so we're still walking down we just came from the north side of the Inner Harbor. Now we're walking down on the western side of the Inner Harbor, because the eastern side of the Inner Harbor is pretty much water. So we're walking down the western side, just taking a look at what kinds of stores are here. And you can see it's very nice with all the different stores. As I said, a large outdoor shopping mall. And I think this can be a very nice thing to have, like an outdoor shopping mall where people are just relaxing. Nice way to relax after work with friends. And there's also museums around here, which make it very nice too. And you can see here some more Bubba Shrimp. This is another store that's right in Times Square in New York. So that's an example of how they're trying to situate this area here. And then, can you imagine, like here in Times Square, we have many people who do acting, like do other things. And here, for example, you have someone just tap dancing, just to show people his talent and also to try to gain some money. And I think that's a good thing. Everyone tries their own little talent And this is a museum in the distance here. And I believe that's the aquarium for Baltimore. Baltimore Visitor Center. You can see in the distance there, it says that. So Baltimore is working very hard at trying to get people to be interested in them. And see there again, Bubba Shrimp Company. So I would recommend visiting Baltimore, one of those beautiful cities, undiscovered cities. It's about 45 minutes away to an hour away from Washington, D.C. And the funny thing about Baltimore is many people in Baltimore say Washington is different, and the people in Washington say Baltimore is different. And the irony is that they're so close together, they're almost like suburbs of each other. And that's what's really nice to always see, how things are. But I would recommend visiting Baltimore, one of those really great cities to be in. Different cities, older city, older than Washington, D.C. Actually, it's larger than Washington, D.C. also. A lot of people don't realize that. It's just that Washington has like that great reputation of being so international, and so many international people like being in Washington. So I think it's very nice just to see what Baltimore is like, get a chance to visit it, and see something different.